Soviet Antonovs, Mi-24s, and other aircraft from August 1986 to December 1987. In 18 months in Afghanistan, American Stinger missiles in the hands of the resistance knocked down 10 Khartoum Air Forces. 10 Khartoum Air Forces were knocked down in 18 months. That means they were knocking down almost one Khartoum Air Force every 2 months. So that can be done. It's very practical. It's very simple. One of those senators, there were some people here from Utah. Alora's from Utah, Martin Buba, who's not here yet, but he's from Utah. There's some others. There were 7 congressmen involved in pushing the Stingers. One of those is still in Congress. It's Senator Hatch from Utah. So there's still some people who remember how this was done. Why did they push for it? They pushed for it because they saw in this one weapon they could end this thing. Now quit crying about it, quit complaining about it, just do what needs to be done. So it can be done out there. There's some other things should go to Mi-24, Spanish mortars, perhaps. There's some other weapons for the small arms, for the machine guns, for the Dashikas and so forth. That will also take some ammunition. But the key weapon is a Stinger. The key weapon for the victory of Sudanese freedom to end this genocide is the Stinger. And not more complicated than that. I don't have to say much more. I've explained what it is. Now, what has to happen here for that to happen in Sudan? What has to happen here are 2, maybe 4 important words. 2 very important and maybe 2 more other words. The first word, which I have not heard yet today, the G word, the genocide word. Let me tell you a little bit about the genocide word. It's a new word in the English language, and you have to become comfortable with it. It was invented by a Jewish scholar named Raphael Lemkin. The Holocaust against the Jews had not yet happened. He did it because of the Armenian genocide, the Ukrainian genocide, and he pushed this word to create it. He gave his whole life to create this word as a weapon for people who are suffering from genocide. And I have not heard a single person use that weapon here today. Now, the people who want to oppose aiding, who want to continue the genocide, there are organizations united to milk genocide. There are, these organizations tend to talk about atrocities, war crimes, ICC, rape, or some other issue, which is true in 100 countries. Sudan has undergone the biggest genocide since the Holocaust. And Raphael Lemkin has spent his whole life to give you a weapon to be used here in the United States to anger the American people to do something about it. Starting around when I was working with the Bosnians, there was not a very large number of people concerned about genocide in general. There were people concerned about Bosnia, maybe a few hundred. But that was 1993. From then till now, many universities, George Mason universities with Professor Greg Stanton, or Cornell University with John Hubble Weiss, professors all over the United States have opened up genocide studies centers. Each one of those genocide centers puts out 10, 20, 30 new Americans who understand that they must oppose genocide. There have been Holocaust museums and displays opened up around the country. Those have taught people to be upset about genocide. So now in America, you have 315 million people who still don't care about genocide, but you have 1 million people who do. It's an army out there of 1 million people. People who are willing to call Congress. They may not care about Sudan. Most of them don't know that Darfur is in Sudan. But that doesn't matter. What matters is if you can convince them that this is a genocide, they will act for that. So people have worked very hard. And it breaks my heart when Sudanese talk about, yeah, this is the civil war, and this is the war. My God, you have suffered a genocide. Raphael Lemkin gave his whole life for you to use this word. Now, there's one more thing, that it's not just a genocide, but in the case of the Afro-American community, that it's a racist genocide. Khartoum may kill Christians, they may kill Muslims, they may kill traditionalists, but they're always killing blacks. It's a racist genocide. And so we have been going, Dr. Al, I don't know if anybody knows Dr. Al Sutton, there were 4 black congressmen in New York City. Not one of them belonged to the Sudan caucus. Dr. Al, with some Darfuris, went to all these 4 black congressmen in the last month. All 4 of them have joined the Sudan caucus. When we started, there were only 12, there's 42 members of the black caucus. That's about 9% of Congress is black. Of those 42 members, only 12 at the beginning of this year were members of the Sudan caucus. Just a little over 1/4. But thanks to different, but there's been effort. 4 people in New York, and there have been 2 others, Mel Watt in North Carolina, and Don Payne Jr. of New Jersey. So that's 6. So it went from 12 to 18. I'll tell you who hasn't joined the Sudan caucus yet. Bobby Scott of Richmond. With all the people here from Richmond, can Black Caucus say, this is a genocide, and this is a racist genocide, and we cannot go on anymore. I'll tell you, we can get to stingers. If we get 10 or 20 congressmen to fight for stingers, it will be hard for the rest of the country to stand in the way. There will be complaints. John Prendergast, when we spoke to the Syracuse Awil community, had a big event, and they got their congressman, Don Maffei, who's not black, but he's an influential congressman, to join the Sudan caucus. They also started pushing for stingers. So Enough Project sent John Prendergast to Syracuse 1 month later to explain that the real problem is not in Sudan, but it's in Congo, so they should not be working on Sudan, but on Congo, and that stingers should not be given to the Sudanese because there's no telling where they will go. So it was enough, just one speech in one place was enough to make Washington react, to start moving against the very simple solution for Sudan. One other weapon that will help right now that is happening, it's in the
all right, and then I guess we got what do you do? It's you. Exactly.
Nah, ini nambah buat kemarin kan.
No.
Nambah ya? Ini beda.
Oh man.
Lu ada kayak gitu.
Lagi om, jangan jauh malam. Nanti soal ding.
We just check background.
Ding kemana? Ya Mr. Bol.
Yeah, man. That's it, man.
Nuar. Enggak.
Charlie sing here.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this special day. We thank you for this special day for people of OBA and for people of South Sudan. Let this conference send your spirit upon us. In your name, we pray. Amen.
Unfortunately, it was Southern Sudanese town, but the good news, the people will arrive anyway. So I just want to give you guys a little brief of the reason for our conference. It's the conference that we always held in the United States, and this is actually our 8th annual, and we just decided to do it here in Richmond, Virginia, despite all of the difficulties and of the assassinations, of our late permanent chief, Baldwin Quall. So we decided to carry on and continue with it, so at least we can start discussing our issues and to be ready for the future of it. So as being people, we all know that we are going through difficult times, and Southern Sudanese in general, because these issues, it's our issues. It's not only us as a VA, but it's all Southern Sudanese, and it's time for us to take actions. And all of this being said, and this actually determined the future for VA. And as we all know, there's a referendum will take place in upcoming October, and that's why we all need to become one as a community of Southern Sudanese, and let's our voice heard, and hopefully things will get better, and I know that we can do that.
I just want to say thank you, and what a day. My name is Maud Ayuel. I am from here, Richmond, Virginia. Ladies and gentlemen, members of ABA community, Richmond community, delegation from the Embassy of South Sudan, family and friends of ABA community, distinguished guests, I would like to say it is a privilege and a pleasure to host this 8th annual conference for the ABA community. And I would like to say welcome to Richmond, Virginia. It is day weekend, and we know the significance of what the day that will come in the next 48 hours is about. It is a Monday that is dedicated to the life of those who sacrifice their life for the freedom of the whole world. Here in the United States, we are here and we can witness that there are members of our Sudanese community who are in service to protect the freedom that we all enjoy here in America. And I can describe America is our home of choice, that we all love, that we will prosper, and that we will protect. We know, I know, and most of you know any member of your family, a friend who is a South Sudanese, who is in service before or is still in service. It is because we love this country, it gave us the opportunity, and it giving us the way forward, and that we protect its integrity at all costs. There is one saying that in Dinka, it says a man know where he came from, and he should know where he's going to. For most of us today, I believe all of us know where we came from. At least some of us may not know where we're going. And nevertheless, is that the case for our country, South Sudan? That is the place where we came from. We may be here today in the United States of America, and we may not know where we're going tomorrow or within the next 5 years. But we do know where we came from 6, 10, 20, 30 years ago, and we came from South Sudan. We are all here today to witness what is going on in our country, the country as a whole, and particularly in the ABA area. We have witnessed what has happened in the past. A lot of people have sacrificed their life for our own sakes, and they are our heroes. We can go back in the history and start from William Deng Nial, came to recently Dr. John Grant. Until a few weeks ago, we lost one more hero, our paramount chief of ABA community, Kwal Deng Kwal, Kuala Dul, and he sacrificed his life for the sake of others. And many more that I would not mention. And we know that we lost a lot of people for our own freedom. They put up their life for our own sake to enjoy the peace in South Sudan. And today we are here because of them. We are them, and they are us. And we are here today to witness what they have went through. Friends and fellow South Sudanese, it is our interest that we say our community of ABA is a community of South Sudanese. It is not belong to ABA alone. And we all determined that we will not surrender an inch of the ABA land to nobody. ABA is our land, it is our motherland, and we are all determined. We are all determined to think and to protect ABA by all costs, because we believe ABA is ABA Deng Kwal. It is the land of our forefathers. We believe also in the people of ABA for their dedication to protect the integrity of the whole South Sudan and other communities. I'm not putting anybody down here. However, the credit is always due where it is due. And most of us Sudanese, we always give credit. I'm not saying that any other community has not contributed to the cause, but we always believe the one who is forward is the one that paved the way to freedom. And that credit is always due to Malwal Bodanyar and Abiy Denkwal. Because of their courage, they are always at the border, and they're always 24/7 staring at the enemy, and they never flinch and they never falter in what they believe in. That is why it is significant today that a BA community is coming here to Richmond, and we believe it is our community, and it is within our capability to make everything that we believe, make it possible. So ladies and gentlemen, I am not going really far, but I just want to give you the highlight, the importance of why we are here today for the BA conference. It is, of course, the 8th annual conference that they have every year, and this is the 8th one. But this is significant. The reason it is significant, as Akwala has mentioned earlier, we know the condition in a BA. All of us, we know what is going on, what has been going on, and what is going on to happen. We know there is a referendum coming up. And that's why the stakes are really high at this time. It requires all of us to challenge ourselves. As one of the famous U.S. president has mentioned in the past, John F. Kennedy, and I quote, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. I believe at this time we take that analogy and use it to ask ourselves individually, what can we do for South Sudan? What can we do for our community of a BA? If we take that challenge and decode that equations and come up with a viable answer, there will be a different for the whole South Sudan, and will be a different for the BA community and others community in our country. We are here today, we owe allegiance to the United States of America. It is our second home by choice, but we have a home by natural birth that has claimed many lives, and it is still claiming many lives. As we are here today, we respect the same vision that we encounter here. So ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you to rise to commemorate the life of those who have been lost in the past until the last one that was lost last night. So if you could join me in the moment of silence.
Just want to say good evening, and just want to take this opportunity to welcome you all to our annual conference here in Richmond, Virginia. And before I go further, first of all, I would like to thank the Discovery Methodist Church for giving us the church to host our annual conference. And also, I would like to give thanks to our community here in Richmond, Virginia, the South Sudanese community. Also, I would like to thank the Dinka Ngok community, those who come from far east and far west, especially those who came from Ohio, Texas, New York, and Utah, for driving all the way to come here and to stand by your brothers here in Richmond, Virginia, to discuss the issue that are facing us as a community and our people back home in Abyei and in South Sudan. Also, I would like to thank the delegation from South Sudan and His Excellency Dr. Roquette and his delegation. Now, as we gather here tonight to discuss the current issue that are facing our people in Abyei and in upcoming referendum that should take place on October 2013, As the youth of South Sudan, we have so many challenges that are facing our country, and we must rise above our challenge to overcome them. It is absolutely your duty to ask yourself, what must I do to help my people? And as our brother just called the President John F. Kennedy, I put it on my remarks before I knew that he was going to use it, so I'm going to go ahead and use the same quote again. As he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do to your country? The youth of South Sudan and the youth of Abyei, it is time for us to wake up and take control of our destiny and ask ourselves what kind of future we need to ourselves, to our family, to our kids, and to our elders. I understand that the government is working hard to get us where we need to be, but we must support the government we must support our government to the best of our ability, and it is not longer the time to point a finger, but it is time to take and change our own destiny. As we come here tonight to discuss our issue, as a youth, we need to understand what is facing our people in Abyei, and I mean here the youth of South Sudan, not particularly the youth of the Abyei area. Yes, there's a challenge facing our people in Abyei. There's a challenge facing our people in Jonglei State. Yes, there's insecurity, whether in the border between South Sudan and Sudan, and in our own border, especially in Jonglei and in Abyei area. It is our responsibility, as I mentioned earlier, to take charge and come with a solution that will last for to make change for things that make us live. And also we must understand, either if we have the peace in the entire South Sudan, we must understand also, and we must look to our brother in the northern Sudan, and especially Nuba Mountain, Blue Nile, Darfur. Yes, there's an agreement between the government of South Sudan and the government of Sudan. But we must understand also, those who left back in Sudan are still our brother, and we must extend our hand, if it's necessary, to help those brothers in Nuba Mountain and in Blue Nile and in Darfur. Because it is my belief, those our African brothers, and if they come to our land, it's also our duty to welcome and fill them and make them feel the sense of the peace in our own country. So before I leave here, again, I would like to thank our community here in Richmond, Virginia, and I will consider them, or I will consider as one of the strongest community in the United States. Because throughout the years, we overcome